So this was Don's layout, his initial layout on paper of the design for the bottle window in the bathroom. And following this, I'll show you the actual trial run that we did on the scaffold. So here it comes. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Copperline Rattler Ranch. So we have decided we're going to go ahead and start on this bottle window that will be in the bathroom. So we've got Don's design, got all of the stands. He made these props. You'll see them as they go up because he has a specific pattern that he wants to do. So we wanted to make sure that we kept that pattern pretty true and pretty straight. So that's why he did these. So normally if you just do random window, you don't need anything to support them other than the top. So here we go. So we're done with the bottle window in the bathroom. This is the west side. It's probably about 10 o'clock in the morning, so we're in the shade. I'm going to go ahead and wipe just the ends off. I'm not going to do like a super deep clean on these bottles, and I'll show you what I mean by changing the dynamics of the color of the bottles. You'll see with the amber and what we're calling yellow is just a lighter amber. You can see how you can change the intensity, at least, of the colors of the bottles. Sometimes if you combine certain colors, you actually just intensify the colors. It's kind of interesting. But we'll take a look through some of these bottles so you can see what I'm talking about, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to just wipe these all off so we can get a nice good view. You'll notice on this side that the bottles seem kind of haphazard as far as their distance in and out of the window space. On the inside, we wanted them to be more uniform. They're not perfect, but they're a little bit more uniform as to how the faces are matching up. You know, you don't have something sticking out. And that's because of a couple of things. Our clear bottles were actually the main body of the bottle was actually a little bit shorter than some of the other ones. And we made some cutting errors. So some of the bottles were cut a little bit short. Some were cut a little bit long. So in order to get the effect that we really want on the inside, that's where we want the effect of these bottles. We made sure that as closely as we could do, we got them all fairly even on the inside. Don worked on this side, so it was kind of challenging for him because he had to deal with me pushing things back and forth in order to get them as even as I could on the other side. I'll show you that side as well. But I'm going to clean a few of these off so we can take a look inside. I've already cleaned them off on the inside of it. And then I'll show you what I mean by changing kind of the color dynamics. Is here we have a light amber and a dark amber. And we have some light blues and some dark blues. And we've done those in the same way, basically, adding a clear bottle to a colored bottle. So let me go ahead and do that. And I'll take you closer and show you what I mean. Okay, just using a glass cleaner. I'm not hosing this down because this stuff is not quite yet cured. Of course, you can tell up here. This is the stuff we did yesterday, these last 4 rows, I guess. So it's not quite solidly, it's pretty solid, it's fairly cured, but it's still vulnerable a little bit to wash off. So I don't want to just hose this down and wipe them off because I'm going to lose some material if I do that. And it'll take it down a little bit further than what I want it to do. So I'm going to just clean off a few of these and let you look through, and then I'll clean off the rest. So I'm just using like a window cleaner, like Windex or whatever, on a paper towel, knock off most of that crud. Oh yeah, that really turned out wonderful. And in the end, once we get the final coat on of plaster, we'll give these all a nice good cleaning as well. And then it's going to be something that, you know, just like cleaning your windows, you'll have to clean these periodically as well throughout the life of this house. We do a clear one so you can see a clear one. So we're on the west side, as I said, so the light's kind of shining through. So I think that's probably good. You can see the difference between them. The green one over here. So let me bring you closer. All right, you can probably see me. Hi. In the glass. This is one that we did an amber bottle with a clear bottle. And right next to it is an amber on amber. So you can see that there is a difference in the intensity of that amber color. This one is darker and this one is a bit brighter. And the same with the blue. This is a double blue, 2 blue bottles taped together. And this is a blue and clear, so it's definitely a lot lighter color. So we have a dark blue and then the lighter blue, less intense. And then this is the green. These are the most intense. This is just amazing. I really love how these turned out and how simple it is and how wonderful it is. Here's a clear one, to keep these things from the trash. You know, in order to maintain our depth between our rows, excuse me, and our depth between our distance between our bottles at an even keel, because mud is mud and it's squishy, or cob is mud, I should say. Don made some rails. He actually took cedar planks that you would make a cedar fence with, cut them to the size and length that he wanted, and then drilled holes in them and cut those down the middle. So each row has a rail underneath that goes up and in between each bottle. So it supports them on the bottom and it gives us our spacing in between the bottles. On the bottom, he screwed those rails in to the bottom frame. If you recall, there's a frame all the way around this window, wood frame. He did a lot of screws in those. That we made sure was a level rail. There's two rails. We put one, you know, about 4 inches apart, the rails are, so they would support the bottles and not keep them tipping. The subsequent rails, we put screws just in the sides that went into the frames along the side, that wood frame that was along the side. So every row has 2 rails and they're screwed into the wood on the sides. There's no way to screw them into the bottles because you break the bottles. So we made sure every row was level, or as level as we could get it. Now remember, we're working with natural materials, so it can't be perfect. Well, if you really were super OCD, it could be perfect, but we're not quite that. He's a little OCD, I'm a little less. So that's what we did all the way up to the top. Now our top row, let me show you. Our top row was more challenging because we had very limited space. So what he had to do there, we used an electric drill on all the other screws. Up there he pre-drilled the rails, put them up, and then he actually had to do them with a little, he has a special ratchet, and screw those screws in with a special ratchet, because that wood on the frames is pretty solid. And then we put our bottles in and just mudded around them. Now we do have some spaces that we're going to have to come back and do, but we're going to have to just let this all cure as much as possible, and then we'll come back. And you know, there's a few little divots and places that got missed, excuse me, and some places that are cracked, and that's of course what's happening with most of our mud, with most of our cob. But we're going to make sure that that just enhances the adherence of the final plastering that we're going to do on these and on the walls as well. So that's our story. I'm going to go ahead and clean these all off. And then I'll give you a whole big view of everything all cleaned off on the inside and out, and you can take a look. It is daytime. It's not going to be quite as impactful as if it were night. And then also we've got a spotlight that we're going to shine through here at night that will kind of help it in the night, overnight hours when it's dark, to kind of light this thing up on the inside of the house, on the inside of the bathroom. It turned out much better than I thought. I'll insert, if I haven't already, I'm going to insert the trial run of this. We actually built it on one of the scaffolds with all the rails and all the bottles. It was kind of scary. It's a good thing it wasn't a windy day. Mostly to get our measurements, to make sure we had plenty of room without having too much room, plenty of room this way without having too much room to deal with. So we ended up, just on that note, we ended up with about 1/2 inch or so on either side of play, which was a nice amount. We felt comfortable with that. At the top, we probably ended up with about 1/2 inch of play as well. So that was a little bit challenging to make sure that we had the mud all the way stuffed in there. But we did it. That was, the top row was actually the one row that took us the longest. It took us even longer than this first row when we were trying to figure out what we were doing. Inside each of those rails, in between each of those rails, we did pack cob sufficiently, and we put a bottle on and just smushed it. You saw how we were working on these bottom ones. We didn't want to show the whole thing because, like I said, there's 165 bottle pairs, which is 330 total bottles. All total, it took us about 3 days. And that's partly because we started late with the bottom 3 rows and we started late with the top 3 rows. The top 3 rows probably took us 4.5 hours, probably the same on the bottom. These in the between really didn't take much more than that. So we've got 11 rows, 15 bottles across, or 15 slots, 15 pairs of bottles across for our 330 bottles. So that's it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something, because we learned something along the way too. They're just stunningly beautiful. It's just amazing for old beer bottles. All right, here they are on the west side, all cleaned up. Looks pretty good. The sun's almost directly over me right now, so you're not going to get a whole lot of light shining through everything. But I think it looks pretty awesome. I'm going to show you on the inside. All right, and this is on the inside. Of course, the sun is to my back, so nothing's going to shine through. But these are all cleaned up as well. I think it turned out pretty spectacular. But that's it. So hopefully you like it. Let me know in the comment section below this video what you think. I know it's probably not a design that you might do. More people, I would have liked maybe more of a spiral look to this or something. But this is what Don came up with and what we agreed to. So let me know what you think down the bottom. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, put those in that comment section down below. And remember to like this video, share it, and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Thanks so much for showing up.